bling and everything. I have a bit of a runny nose today.
So, welcome back from our hiatus. Jewel of Galifar, Act 4, Scene 16. And this one I decided to title Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. So we'll jump back to the map where we had been in our previous session and dust this map off a little bit. I believe that where we left off, your battle with the aspect had just concluded. There was a sort of like glowing heart of the creature that I believe Thry had picked up from the ashes.
Yep.
And you are now standing in the room with a few of the monks. Jari having been killed as well. And I think that's it, just Jari.
Yeah, it was just one guy, and Caleb was just like snapping his fingers at somebody to like tell him to go get him, specific herbs and unguents so he can reincarnate him.
Fry just kind of busy examining the essence, which he puts into like a cork, like a glass jar, which he's corked. Just examining it.
Right. Put that in.
What?
It would look kind of like a glowing rod that has some sort of like fumes coming off of it, being emanated from it, as well as some occasional sparks and whatnot.
Bag of holding now.
Say what?
Bag of holding now.
Sir, I guess he Fry puts it in the bag of holding.
All right. So you have bagified it, and I'm looking for where the monk went and went to go fetch the herbs and whatnot.
Ren is currently standing over our wonderful idiot who tried to run away that he tripped earlier and then dragged him over and went, "Here's the idiot."
Oh yeah, that's the liar.
So what exactly happened here?
If I remember correctly, Danon and Jari were working on their own Warforged using a chunk of Epoch. Warforged came to life. Kalimar'd Jari. Danon tried to run away. Ren tripped him, cracked his head on the ground. We dealt with Aspect.
Right. Yeah, but that was in character. But yeah, Fry nods to that.
Was Danon the guy the monk that we fought that the other guy was playing for a session? Because it wasn't him that ran away, right?
No.
Okay.
No, that guy kind of abandoned us in the woods way back.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
But I'm still the fact that it sort of bind or taking out a piece of her essence does not bode well. But this could give us.
I called it. Like I saw that machine, and I'm like, "There's no part of her in there, right?" And then he lied to me.
Yeah, but still, this could give us an interesting opportunity. But I would need to study essence a bit more.
So after a few minutes of you guys just sort of, chatting and taking the landscape of what's occurred, Murakal comes back and is carrying sort of an armful of different fruit, like just recent pickings of some mushrooms, and she has some small vials and things, as well as a stone bowl, like a pestle and mortar, and she offers them to you.
I take a look at them without removing them from her arms, and I kind of look at them and I nod, and then I take Jari and I just dump him over my shoulder, and then I'm like, take me to an altar or something I can set up. This will have to wait till tomorrow.
Follow me. I think I know a place that sounds like it would fit your description. Let's see. I just have to make sure. I'm sorry. I'm checking the map to make sure that I do, in fact, take you down the correct corridor. There we go.
And I'm dragging Jari with me.
Okay, so I will cut that token. As you follow Morakal and you pass the sort of raging bonfire, she leads you down a southern corridor that you hadn't yet traversed. And as you're just sort of following her, one of the things that becomes most prominent is the cave becomes slightly warmer and far more humid. You also get much more of a strong sense of like an earthy smell, as well as a sweet kind of fruity smell. And you actually can see what almost appears to be sort of like a fog that's now hanging in this area. And Caleb would recognize these odors quite easily from, just being in the forest and the training and whatnot. It's a cloying scent of fungus and mushroom. And in fact, on the floor ahead of you, you can see large mushrooms growing right in the area. As you walk into this area in specific, one of the other things that you notice is some of the mushrooms appear to be moving. And you also then spot a large, almost like dog size praying mantis.
Yeah.
And the praying mantis, it doesn't really even regard you. It's going about, and in its large hooked arms, it actually seems to be pruning some of the mushrooms and clicking them back. You see that some of these moving mushrooms...
Can I make a nature check on the mantis? Like, is that just a normal mantis with like a spell to increase its size? Is it a creature I haven't heard of before?
So it is a giant mantis. This one, you're assuming just based off of its physiology, is probably juvenile, and you're just guessing that there must be adults somewhere, at least one. But it seems quite docile.
Okay.
And in fact, as Miracle is walking by, she sort of pats it like just under its head, or just like you would see somebody patting a dog. The praying mantis sort of stands up, with its sort of abdomen arched up now, just sort of peers over at her and then walks a little bit into one of the alcoves. And you see one of the mushrooms sort of split apart a little bit, and it sprouts some arms and legs, and it moves forward and takes some of the mushrooms out of the hands of that giant praying mantis.
I just give the mushroom like a little nod as I pass. And what kind of check would it be to know what a myconid is? Is that a nature check?
Yeah, I think nature's probably going to suit that one.
Well, never seen those before.
Nope.
It's an apparent monster. Kill it.
I don't know. He seemed like a fun guy.
Oh my god.
There we go. So she does approach a... I'm sorry, I'm getting over like a lung infection. You see her approach a large and ornate door, which is very different than many of the other doors that you've seen thus far. And she makes sort of a symbol with her hand, and the door just easily slides to the side without her even touching it. And immediately you see that the floor here changes from just rough cave-like flooring to, like you saw in a different part of the cave, and including the areas in which you guys fought the aspect, that now they're actually more like carved paving stones. And these are nice living quarters. There's even a table in there that has recent food on it. It is basically just cooked mushrooms that have been prepared in sort of a saute. She walks you towards the back wall, which for all intents and purposes looks like smooth stone. But as she runs her hand over it, again, without making contact, she then steps forward and walks directly through the wall.
I kind of pause and just kind of poke my finger at the wall.
Your finger, it's a really weird to your mind as it disappears directly into the wall and you feel nothing.
Step right through it then.
And you continue to follow her down through the corridor. This is a rather tight passage. And again, she approaches yet another wall and does a very similar motion and passes back through.
I can't pass through that because of the...
Oh, the clipping. There you
go. All right.
Now,
to refresh my memory, Miracle is the Kalishtar, the beautiful Kalishtar that I saw, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and I accidentally stretched her token because she is not a super giant. She is tall, but she is not a super giant.
Great.
Yeah. She gestures over to an odd-looking contraption in this corner of the room, and it looks almost like, kind of to describe out of game, would be almost like a large pizza oven. It's made out of brick. It sort of has a half circle dome on top of it, iron door, and when she looks around in the room, then she stares at you and sort of gestures to the device.
I look at it and then I look at her and I go like, it won't work if I cremate him.
Well, it is a purification chamber. There's no flame involved here. When we seek to isolate ourselves from our senses, we step inside of or crawl inside of this chamber, and it is a place of purity and sanctity.
I kind of just blink at her for a second and then just shrug and I'm like, all right. You want to open it up for me? And I'm like hefting the body.
Yeah, the door opens quite easily. It's well greased, so it doesn't give an irking sound or whatnot. And she helps you very carefully and gingerly lift the body and slide it in.
As opposed to my flippant tone or whatever, Caleb is very careful with the body. He doesn't just toss it in there. He's easing it in and being respectful of it.
Okay, the body easily slips inside of this place, and as you're just sort of examining it casually, the interior of it appears to be completely purified. You don't see any even dust inside of there. It looks like it's really carefully maintained.
I asked her for the materials that she had brought before, and the bunches of dried herbs I kind of just put around his body, and the oils I just make I smear a little bit over his brow. And then I set the vial open and in the container, and then I close the door, and I say I'll have to return tomorrow.
She just sort of tilts her head at you in curiosity. She's been just sort of passively watching everything you've been doing, and then she has a slight quizzical look on her face. And she sort of steps forward and reaches out a hand to touch one of your hands, and does so just gently. And she asks you, "Where did you learn these healing arts? You take such delicate care of someone you have no binding to."
I kind of look down and I'm like, well, that's a lot of questions, but I come from a place where the community looks out for each other. We all lived in harmony with the world around us. And your friend died because of something that we brought into this world. Or, well, my friend brought into this world. and we're trying to fix it. And his death could have been avoided if we weren't here. So it's my job to fix it.
She still is looking at you quite curiously, but she just, like, not cautiously, but she just takes a couple of steps back away and then sort of turns her back to you.
Mhm.
Says, how is it that you live in harmony with this place? We have been here a long time, and this is not our home. It is odd for us here. How do you come to peace?
I kind of tilt my head. Can I make an insight check
Uh-huh.
to determine what she meant by this place? Like, I kind of get the feeling that she's not talking about, like, this cave, you know? Got 20.
Yes, yeah. You definitely can sort of surmise that she doesn't mean like this cave or this region.
Yeah.
She's speaking almost like much more ephemerally.
Mm-hmm. I kind of, so Caleb kind of nods for a bit, and like, he doesn't normally get very spiritual with people because in his experience, like, civilized people just don't normally get it, you know? But he kind of senses that she's talking about the ephemeral, which is more of how he sees the spiritual world. So he kind of nods and he's like, the world around us is part of us. Some beings that I've met in this world, tieflings, Azamars, they have one foot on the outside. And it can be hard for them to feel that connection. There is a movement among my people, the Druids, that celebrates straddling one world and the next. They call themselves the Green Singers. I'm not one of them, but I can see the beauty in what they do. My job is to protect this world and this sphere of influence and this spirituality that subsumes us. And I protect it from outside influences. But not everything on the outside is bad. There's a lot of beauty in the known worlds of existence. And he kind of just shrugs and he says, I only know this world and its beauty.
This is deeply touching to my soul to hear your words, that you show such acceptance of things that others would reject.
He kind of, Caleb just kind of, he kind of smirks at that, and his normal, like, assholeness kind of comes through a little bit. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, some of it does need to go, but you can't just judge everyone from where they come from.
You remind me of a kind creature I knew once. It said very, very similar things to what you're sharing now.
Oh, yeah? What kind of creature was it?
Well, she was sleek and she was powerful. Varak was a very wise woman.
I'm sorry, did you say Varak?
Yes, Varak.
How old are you?
I still struggle with the way time passes here. I think by your calendars, I would be roughly 9,000 years old.
Who's Vrak?
Add a character. Varak is the green dragon that taught the Gatekeeper Druids Druidism.
I thought Vrak
okay.
was a black dragon.
Black dragon? I thought she was green.
Yeah, black.
Black. Okay. I usually get those two confused because they're both like on me, my head. But yeah, so Vrak was the dragon that brought the tradition of who works with the first. So I kind of look at her and I'm like, add a character also, just so I can play this in character correctly. Noah, in your version of Eberron, Kalishtar are not immortal.
Well, I need to ask a clarifying question real quick. If it's my connection or if other folks are seeing you too.
It's Anthony's.
What's that?
You're roboting out.
No.
Yeah,
right,
a little.
Yeah, the connection's kind of skipping and freezing slightly.
Okay. Do you want me to reconnect?
Sure. While you're doing that, I'll just jump back over to Brandon and Chris. All right, so let's jump back up to you guys as Caleb has sort of taken off to the south. And nope, I always get that key wrong. Shift.
Is that any better?
Oh, wow, that was fast, man. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll still sort of pause the interaction down there, jumping up to Renakis and Thry. So as you guys are standing there, Ruan and Danon, like Danon sort of brushes himself off and stands up, while Ruan is going over to look at the remains of the aspects. The other monk that's standing there also is sort of looking through the ashes of aspect as well. And they're doing like hand signs to each other, at least as far as you could tell, some sort of sign language.
I guess I sort of turn around and says, I do find it rather odd that she would her essence offer itself. I can't imagine such a thing as easy or non-painful.
I just chalk it up to insanity.
Right. Still, I feel like this isn't something someone do unless they got something planned or they're desperate.
We haven't figured out what that plan is entirely yet, but she has a plan. Right. It's very likely that she set this as bait.
Concern I have is that we may not be able to destroy it unless we have all the pieces of her essence. But that's just my current theory. I'm going to like study the piece of essence more thoroughly to see if I can't, confirm that. But it seems to me like we might need to gather any pieces she split up in order to complete do her in.
I don't think so. When you amputate an arm, doesn't stop you from being able to kill the body. It just means it's now a shortened arm.
Right, but this isn't exactly an arm here. This seems more like an equivalent of breaking apart your soul.
I don't take much stock in talks of souls. But I will say this. I honestly think this might have been bait, to be 100% honest. We were either going to come here and find this, and it would lead us to her, or they were going to activate that thing, kill everyone around here. It was going to kill everyone around here, and then we'd lose her trail anyway. So either way, she'd win out. thoroughly believe this was bait.
Well, at the very least, it would make scrying on air more easy.
And you notice that one of the monks, Ruin, is standing almost like awkwardly close to you guys. He has his hands behind his back, and he's just sort of listening to you, and he moves his head to look at whoever's sort of speaking, but he's not interrupting. He's really just standing close and listening.
Ren turns to him and
Is
goes,
he
"Thoughts?"
is he one of the ones who made the aspect?
No,
Okay.
there were two of them. Danon and the other guy, and Danon's currently on the ground unconscious because I caused him to crack his skull on the ground.
Okay.
Well, I don't know about all this talk of souls and such, but it's possible to encapsulate a portion of your mind and imbue it in an object.
Hang on 1 second. Brandon, there's like a lot of wind coming from your side.
My fan. Alright, Interesting. I'm guessing this is one of the types of practice you teach here.
We do teach here, or rather, Shuhula teaches much about encapsulating or compartmentalizing your mind. It does help to protect the soul, but here mainly because of the Riedran armies, we have to keep ourselves safe behind a veil of mind energies.
Alcater, who's this? Is that the leader he was talking about who teaches this?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, doing something like this, like, I honestly, cause like, how do I put this? Does this like weaken someone when they do something like this to this extent?
I have never had a teaching from Shushulia as to being able to actually animate another object with my mind.
Add a character. Noah,
Yes.
do you still use the concept that familiars are basically an extension of their master?
Well, to me, it's they are bound together, and you can, certainly cast spells and things through that, but it's not necessarily the case that it's like their souls that are intertwined.
Okay.
But if that's an interpretation that you'd like for your character, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay. So Ren looks at Thry and goes, Thry, this isn't too dissimilar to what arcane casters do. I mean, I've done it myself. And calls Moon in and perches on his arm.
Ruin, he just kind of rubs his hand over his bald head, and he's looking sort of quizzically at you. He says, Archon? What is this?
Something that's not really common in your land and would probably take too long to explain.
Is this a school of mind? How do you accomplish this?
Years of study.
Or if you're someone like me, you just have to luck into birth.
You
in
have
Thry's case, the innate
powers by the way you were born?
Yes.
I must meditate upon this.
It's not quite similar for others as it is for Thry. Thry's kind of an odd circumstance, though. That should also be taken into account.
Yeah.
So he's
Of
chosen.
course.
Let's
Shrug.
just say lucky. Let's just say lucky. We don't want to feed into his ego.
Hey. I Fry just looks at Renakis with slightly, like, he's not angry, but he's like, really,
hurt.
man.
He's hurt.
Yeah. Although,
to be fair, that's
Minters-
Renakis' mentality on all sorcerers anyways. They're just lucky.
yeah.
But
But there are multiple ways to get this power, but like my friend Renakis says, it's a bit long and complicated to get into. But what about your mind stuff? I'm guessing from your action, one has to train to get these skills.
this is part of why we have a monastery, so that we can learn from our master as to how to take different aspects of ourselves and compartmentalize them, so that we can do amazing things that others cannot do, things that allow us to fight the Riedran army, to be a resistance of peace and freedom, instead of living under the rule of the Atlas.
Interesting.
You must be careful with your talk if ever you venture outside of the monastery. They will believe that this is one of the Altavaras.
The what?
In your language, I believe it would be similar to temptation. It would take you from their path, from their control. You are expressing individual powers outside of what we have seen here before, what is in our lands.
I kind of find odd that this place such an isolationist, yet they have a city where they have dragon mark houses. It seems a little counterproductive.
Did we establish Dry knows about that?
What is this?
I thought, didn't we talk about this like on the way here with the like we asked about like
We did out of game.
no, I believe in game we were talking to the guy who, like the monk who brought us here, and he said like we were asking about when they first saw Epoch, and he mentioned that he's seen like Warforge in the in that city where the dragon house marshes are.
That city is way to the south. I'm pretty sure we were talking about that out of game.
Yeah,
Right.
we were talking about Sarlona
I
society.
don't know. I'm sorry. It's been like a month or two.
Yeah, we were talking about that. He saw Warforge at the shore. That was where he first saw Warforge. The city with the dragon marked houses in it. That's something else.
Okay. All right.
Now, I have heard Shushila talking about dragon marks, but I have never heard of a dragon marked house. She only ever told us of their context on people.
And Ren goes, yeah. And then he rolls up his sleeve to show his.
Yeah.
The dragon mark houses are conglomerations of families who have similar marks. For instance, mine is called the Mark of Shadow. My family has style similar to your own martial arts, where we use shadows to fight. I'm not versed in it. I'm versed in espionage.
Yeah, they're
Sort of looking at your dragon mark and its iridescent glow, the sort of purplish sheen, etc. And he just asked, like, may I touch it? Is Is that an offensive question?
I mean, it's weird, but sure, to me it just feels like you're touching my skin. It's nothing special.
So he reaches out and just kind of like grasps your forearm, and he's kind of tracing some of the marks and turning your arm over and just kind of examining it closely. They are like our tattoos, but it shimmers and moves somewhat in appearance. The light. This is an odd marking. How is this possible?
So it depends on your school of thought.
It could be like with me.
The general term is that the general belief is that there is this thing called the prophecy, and some of us can manifest these marks, which are supposed to be associated with the prophecy. I don't know the whole story. I'm not one of the scholars of my house. They would know it more. There was an entire branch of my house who specialized in looking at this, but they're not part of the house anymore. It's whole cluster that would take too much time to explain. Needless to say, this is closer to a birthmark than a tattoo.
So does he then have, and he's pointing to Thurai, like a internal birthmark that gives him power?
No. For people like him, it's sort of their blood that does it. It's
typically it's due to the fact that someone so long down their family line they had maybe
it's
their
an
ancestor linked to some powerfully magic creature such as dragons.
As soon as you say such as dragons, Ren starts laughing. I go, "You're not related to dragons." Well, you are. Normally, they're not. They just think they are. It's a mess.
It's honestly, for me specifically, it's a confusing example, but creatures on that power. But honestly, one thing I'm really curious about is how you managed to disable those monoliths. I was told you can that you are able to turn them off.
Yes, those of us who are strong enough of mind, we can exert our will in their control room, and by doing so, we can shut their powers down and disassemble the monoliths if necessary. It is important to us because we know that this is how they enslave the people, and it is our mission, our quest, our drive and desire to free the minds of the people.
Ren turns to Thra and goes, I'm guessing he means it's something similar to how Lyrander flies an airship.
A what now?
Long story. Another family. Their mark gives them moderate control over weather, except for like the higher tier marks, and they can use it to use vehicles. Certain vehicles, special vehicles.
Right. Would you be able to teach me how to do this?
That is not my place to take on a student. You must ask Shushila, if she will allow you to join the monastery. If she grants you this access, then we gladly will teach any who come to us. You must be strong of mind and strong-willed to master our ways.
Rin kind of turns to him and goes, out of curiosity, about how long does it take to normally learn something like this?
Well, it depends on if you study here or if you study in the other.
The other?
There is a sacred chamber deep within the halls that Shushila, will grant access to among those who study the hardest those who are purest of mind. And there, time, it travels differently than here.
Noah, did you make the hyperbolic time chamber?
The hypersonic lion tamer.
I did not. I did not do a DBZ ripoff.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I believe I can to point that one to a friend of Anthony's by the name of Keith Baker.
Keith.
Interesting.
It is a place of great challenge, though. You you would face nightmares that are unbelievable, landscapes that will twist and break the minds of the weak. We have lost students before to insanity, their minds irreparable from simply seeing this place.
And how long would it take if I do it outside the other?
Each person learns at their own pace, but to learn the basic skills of mastery, it could take months or perhaps years. It just depends on your dedication and focus.
We don't have time for that. Using the chamber is too much of a risk. Our concern is not... Ren turns to Thor and goes, our concern is not the monoliths. Our concern is Epoch, who is... Again, like Ren looks, again, you're going to the whole help overthrow a regime, which we don't have time to do.
And as soon as you say that, you in particular feel, and you notice everyone else in the room except Thry, it's just this oppressive wave of force that you feel closing in like on your mind, like a migraine headache that just is instantaneous. It drives you to your knees, and you see all the others in the room immediately go to their knees as well, and you hear a groan from Dannon. But Thry, you notice none of this. And we'll
do I back see down this happening, or
say what?
Do I see this happening, or does I just even if I don't feel the thing, I could still see them going to their knees?
Yeah, you see everyone in the room, just, they grab their heads, they go to their knees. You hear them, some of them just kind of groan, and the others up and to your right scream a little. And you just see them. And for Renakis, it really is almost all of your focus, all of your thought, it gets driven into a pinprick in your mind, as opposed to being aware of all of your surroundings. You just focus really only on this oppressive force on your mind. So now we're back down to Caleb and Murakal.
Just give me 1 second. I gotta get my teas ready.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so while Anthony's doing that, do you guys have any... No, I'll let that pinned. I'll let it pinned for a second, so you can explore some thoughts and curiosities without expressing them yet.
I mean, I'm assuming it means we have company, and I'm not happy.
If I'm this is just a guess. I'm only not feeling this is because of my ring of mind shielding.
I mean, that's one option. The other option is maybe, this has something to do with Epoch, and because you're kind of connected, that might have an issue.
All right, here we go.
All right. So you are standing there speaking with Murakal still. There was no time elapse when we jumped to the other players.
Right. I forget, she asked me something and then I started roboting out and you didn't hear my response. Do you remember what it was?
I think you were just kind of quizzing her a little bit about Varrock.
Oh yeah. No, I was asking you, Noah, add a character. Kalistar in your game are not immortal, right? Like
Correct.
the fact that she's an apparently immortal Kalistar should be weird, right?
To you, yes.
Yeah.
And it would stand out in your knowledge of Kalishtar.
Yeah. I kind of give her like a second once over. I look her up and down, and I'm like, I forget. Did Caleb identify her as Kalistar? I'm not sure if I remember doing that.
I think you did, but I can't recall. We can just retcon and say yes.
Okay. So I kind of look her up and down, and I'm like, 9,000 years is very odd for one of your kind, isn't it?
And she sort of looks down at herself a little bit and says, "Oh, I see. You have met others of my kind, the Kalishtar?
Yeah.
I am not like those born in these days. I crossed to your realm long ago, in a time in which my home and your home were intertwined. It was a time of great darkness and struggle and war. Varrock, she flew to a different land. She led us there, and we found peoples of that land that she taught her wisdom and knowledge, and they were able to close the gates of my home to yours, or at least to most of them.
The people Varrock taught closed the gates to Zoriat.
Yes, my home. The true home.
I nearly pull. What? Noah, you're messing me up. So, add a character. You know that Kalistar come from Dalcor, right? Not Zoriat.
Yes.
So this is bullshit that I'm hearing in character that does not match what I should know about.
Woody wobbly time travel.
It's not time travel. This is.
Yeah, it's not time travel.
Yeah, this is
I
somebody.
meant more so like this is a different timeline.
No. This is somebody telling you that the sun is cold. This is just nonsense. Yeah, so I kind of look at her and I slowly start drawing my my Aberrant Slayer spear.
And I will say, of course, that we have established Caleb would have all of this knowledge.
Yeah,
so it's not meta-ing.
He's a gatekeeper. He knows about the planes and the origin of planar beings and stuff like that. So yeah, so I kind of slowly draw my Aberrant Slayer spear and I go like, the Kalishtar are humans merged with dream spirits from Dalcor. What are you?
It is complex. Your weapon, I can sense its thirst for my soul. Should you decide to plunge it through my heart, I'll not resist. But know that not all things are as they have been explained.
And I'm supposed to listen to an aberration.
You need not listen to me whatsoever. I think that you would find more answers from Shushilia.
And what is she? Some poor hapless person you've infected with your madness?
No, she is a spirit from long ago. She has taught us the powers of our minds so that we may resist the Riedran army. She was a member of a group that they fought the darkness that came to the lands. They fought the Delcair alongside the Inspired.
The Dalker never fought the Inspired. The Dalker fought the goblins.
Not in your lands. In our lands, here, deep in the mountans, at one of the nexuses between worlds.
I kind of narrow my eyes and I'm like, when did the Inspired first appear in your world? Actually, Caleb wouldn't know anything about this. So this is more of a question of Anthony again. The Inspired showed up like 1,500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. Like there were no Inspired in the world before then.
Yes.
So she's saying that. Oh God. So yeah, Caleb wouldn't know anything about the history of the Inspired.
Heads up, everyone check your sheets. It looks like they updated them.
Yeah, I'm trying not to metagame this because Caleb wouldn't know anything about the history of the Inspired. He probably knows about the Kalishtar, but not like their history. So he knows like what they are, but I don't think he would know too much about that.
I think he would know their relationship to the quarry and would know those elements of the plains.
Would he know how old the Kalishtar race is? Because they're like 1,500 years old.
I think that's pretty reasonable because the Kalishtar would be newer than his religion.
Right. And would he know that the Kalishtar are older than the Inspired, which they are?
I think he would have knowledge of that as well.
Okay. All right. So then I can know this in character. So I kind of narrow my eyes in here and I say, you keep spouting nonsense.
She steps forward, not threateningly. She just sort of steps forward.
I level my spear at her throat, and I'm like, don't touch me.
This is why we don't leave Caleb with people.
Yeah.
So she steps forward enough so that the tip of your spear draws just a slight bit of blood from her throat. As she stares you, just blank in the eyes. Again, not in a threatening manner. She's just looking you directly in the eyes. You talk of these oddities as if you yourself have not traversed eras in which you should never have been, as if you yourself belong here even now.
How much did Epoch teach you?
Epoch had nothing for me to learn. I closed my mind to Epoch. The others here, some of them, were quite interested in her, but not I. I have seen things like her before. Shushilia, had warned me that this presence would come, that it would infect our temple, but that it was necessary to bring you here.
Me and my team that came here, we're a handful. We have the only means that we know of to travel through time. The only other beings in existence that can do that are shards of time itself. You speak of entire races of people out of time and out of their proper place in the flow in the river of time. You speak of madness.
Was not legion. It was just a few. A few that they stepped through a gateway into a time that was not their time. Things were warped and twisted, as can be the case when you are around a mouth of madness.
And you would know all about that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You dare call yourself Kalishtar. You are nothing. You are not Kalishtar. You are not. You don't share your body with a creature of dream.
No. I am a blended soul. One that is entwined with both darkness and dream.
Darkness.
Yes, a deep, deep darkness beyond which most mortal minds could understand or comprehend. A darkness that would consume others, but a darkness that had been cleansed by a light of purity.
You speak of Mabar.
No. I speak of, I believe, a phenomenon similar to what people in your lands would know as the silver flame.
Oh.
The silver flame is the light. What is this darkness you speak of?
This darkness is of a race of creatures that they're so maddening, so frightful that even today, parents tell their children stories of them to drive them into behavior that they wish to elicit, to scare them from going into forests, to scare them from disobeying. Such is the fear that these creatures wield.
And these creatures are?
I believe in your tongue they are called Delcaire.
Yes, I know what the Dilkir are. The Dilkir are not creatures of darkness. They're creatures of madness incarnate, insanity, infection, corruption.
Yes, as some would refer that as darkness. It is not a darkness of necromancy or evil in that way. It is an evil of the mind, that which we, the Galishtar, would fear the most. The people of Riedra are enslaved by the mind.
You keep calling yourself Kalishtar, but you're not one of them.
I am not. But they are still my people.
Caleb just kind of shakes his head with disgust, and he puts the butt of his spear down, and he says, "The only reason why you're not dead is because you do have a foot in this world. You're blighted, tainted, but you're still of this world. So I won't kill you unless you do anything to further your taint."
You okay over there, Noah?
Yeah. It's all just lungs, man. It's all lungs. Well, as I stated, I will offer you no resistance should you wish to banish my soul. But know that I am not an enemy, that though my heritage is blended, that I am intertwined with darkness and madness, I also am intertwined with a great light and a great peace that I, Shushilia, has led me to embrace. This was all part of the prophecy of the dragons.
Yeah, I'm not going to listen to another word you say. You should probably go now.
Very well. I am impressed by what you are doing for Jari.
I don't care.
She bows her head and she just walks out of the room.
Yep.
This is why we can't leave Caleb alone with people.
Yeah, I didn't kill her.
I just want to know.
Surprisingly,
I just want to say I really like Noah's like super special do not steal OC character.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to where I saw that living quarters.
Uh-huh.
Assuming I can walk through the illusory door.
Yes.
Aren't you going to do that thing here?
Or am I going to do what?
The resurrection.
No, his
he has to
body
wait a day.
has to wait a day.
Ah.
So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go lay down and go to sleep.
Well,
right. So we'll hop back up to these other dudes. Oh, and I'll say that when you lay down in the bed, and you get no sense that it's from the bed itself, but you're suddenly just like it's a feeling of your mind contracting, this pain, the same description as before, that
Right.
the world sort of closes in upon you for a few brief moments. And then as unexpectedly as it came, it just subsides instantly.
Well, that gets me thrown to my feet. I grab my spear and I start running back to where Epoch was, shard of Epoch.
Okay. So Renakis and Thry, we're back over to you. And very similar to as I just described, instantly as that oppressive force was present, it vanishes.
So I'd just like to say that Caleb is actually lost because I'm trying to get back to where they were. So
I sort of make like the Scooby-Doo thing where you run through like various doors. You know, like the old chasing of Scooby-Doo where they go through there's like this hallway of doors and he like zigzags.
I'm not gonna cheat, but I'm gonna try and get back there on my own and not be able to. So if you catch me running through some place that you want me to like stop because like something attacks me or whatever, just let me know.
Okay. So just to give you the quick rundown of when you, let's see, did you, because I wasn't watching where your token was going, did you go the southern route first or did you wrap back around through some other way?
I have no idea.
Okay. Do you just want me to get your token back to them or?
Just let me know when it's time for me to stop running. And I've run in a circle. So Caleb is pissed.
Caleb really is the cat.
Okay, so it's Renaka and Thry.
I go to Renaka. Are you okay? What happened?
All right.
As I help him up.
Ren looks at Thry and goes, have you ever had a building fall on your head? Because it sort of felt like that.
3 hours later, Caleb arrives.
Yeah.
He's like all disheveled and dirty. And
what the fuck was
that? It literally felt like my brain tried to process all of the existence around me at once and just kind of like crushed itself. And then I was fine.
You see Ruhan's eyes grow wide. And he looks to Laneth and Arukan and gestures to them and says, we must check the chamber now.
Ren looks at him and goes, I'm going to assume we have company.
What's going on? I asked them.
They're already gone.
Yeah, they're bolting out.
Oh, and Ren's following.
Yeah, with me by accident.
Yeah, Fry's going to try to run after them and yelled at them out there as we're running.
Okay, let's see. I have to do like an extreme zoom out to make sure I get to the right room again.
Ren looks at Caleb as he passes him. Keep that man unconscious, and he points to Denon.
And if I see you guys running past me, I just kind of look at you. I'm like, what are you, dumb? And I turn around and follow you.
What part of keep that man unconscious didn't you understand?
The part where that's anywhere near as important as a psychic attack on all of us, and we should stick together. Idiot.
So once they run into this area with the the bonfire, Ruhan stops short and he gestures to Laneth and says, Laneth, go out of the cave, out of the monastery. Get a visual at once. Laneth does like a deep bow and then heads off and through the northern route, while Ruan and Orokan head to the south. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong buttons.
As we're running after them, should we prepare for battle?
If what I fear has happened, it may be too late to prepare for battle.
I'm always prepared.
As Ren runs, he kind of like grabs the hood of his cloak of elven kind, and he's gonna stealth.
In case you got lost there, they're heading down this corridor. So this is going the Caleb the way that now you kind of vaguely remember.
Yeah.
I am
been
never
here
seen
thrice
again.
before.
My problem was I went here first instead of up here, and then that way. I went like down this corridor first.
I kind of like imagine Caleb is sort of like Zorro or Zero when it comes to like directions.
What?
You know, from One Piece, the sword man.
That's true.
Going over to Zoro.
He has no directions whatsoever.
His sense of direction is garbage.
Like literally, you can point him to where to go, and he will literally run the opposite way.
Well, let's not make a joke out of it that continues for the rest of his goddamn life because he turned down to one wrong turn.
Accidents happen.
If but for one wrong turn, we all would be in a different place.
Especially in Albuquerque.
I have been to Albuquerque. It is nice. Luckily, I did not get lost. Maybe nice is an overstatement.
Like, what happens if you take a wrong turn there?
You get lost.
Well, wherever you go, there you are.
How profound.
So, you know, of course, now you guys, the descriptions I gave earlier of the myconid and the mushrooms and fungus and whatnot, it's really just sort of like a jog of wonder for you as you run through the cave. And as you approach this opening, you can feel a great sort of blast of warmth in the air's moving through here, fairly strong, like probably at about 30, 40 miles an hour wind coming from the direction where Ruan now is. And he steps out onto this sort of stone bridge, and you hear this great roaring sound, that you easily recognize as water. And you can feel just a slight rumbling to things. When you step out into this cavern, it's quite immense. It's very, very tall. As evidence. Say what?
I came through this way before.
Yes. And as you come into this room, definitely the ceiling is lost in the shadow. You can't see it even with infravision, dark vision, whatever. But you can feel the rush of this mighty underground river flowing through the cavern. And as Ruan sort of steps out and into the lead, you see another creature that's actually standing in the way of the path. And Ruan stops for a second, and he turns to you guys, and he's just like, "Oh crap! I was afraid."
I tell him to just like step aside, and I shoulder past him and stand up front.
Okay, so you shoulder past Ruan.
Yep.
So what is the creature?
So as you're staring at it, it looks mainly like a man, but a man that is covered in large pieces of rock. His skin appears to be made out of smoothed sand, and he has little glimmering facets all about his body, gemstones and things like that you can see.
So is he like an elemental, or
would I be able to recognize the Genasi on sight?
Oh, excuse me. Trying to think if that would be, if that makes sense or not.
Depends. Did Caleb skip that class?
I got a 30 planar lore check.
Then yes, you definitely would.
Yeah. So I narrow my eyes at him. And so now this is me dealing with like a person instead of like a monster. So I look back at Rune and I go like, he's not one of yours, right?
No. There are many other inhabitants of our caves.
Yep. Go outside.
And he's not. Is he one of them?
Well, He's inhabiting this cave.
I narrow my eyes at Ruin, and I'm like, are you telling me this place isn't secure?
Ask a stupid question.
That is a difficult question to answer.
There's more than one way into your cave temple complex, from the inside of the cave and the outside of the cave.
Our temple, this cave system is quite immense. It goes on for hundreds of miles in different directions, all throughout the roots of the earth.
So why are we running down here? Is he an intruder? Are you preparing for intruders?
Yeah, I look back at that guy and I'm like, what's your business here? This is a temple?
So you're looking at genies. I can't even say that.
Genocide.
Genie. Just call them genies.
They're not genies, though.
Oh, wait. No, the genies are Ifrids.
No, genocide are related. Are basically half elementals.
Well, those guys.
They're the elemental equivalents of tieflings and Asmars.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like the Ifrid stuff.
Nope.
No.
Genocide.
Okay.
Yeah, in of course a gravelly, like landslide-ish kind of voice. This man steps, what you're assuming is a male, steps forward. There is much to be protected here.
Agreed.
Did you not feel the closing of your thoughts moments ago?
We did.
This place, this sanctuary, it is under assault.
Not by you.
Not by me. I respect these people here. They do no harm to our stones or rocks. They do not force the forms as other men do.
Then we don't have any harm in store for you either.
We have no quarrel. If you are with them, you are friend to Genasi.
That we are.
Are we being attacked by that what was it called again? Not regime, but
Reagents.
yeah, them.
He sort of steps over to the stone outcropping there and rests his head on it with what you assume is like an ear to it. And he closes his eyes briefly for a moment. The stones, they whisper to me. There is a great army amassed outside of this place in the valley below. They have great engines of war. They assault with mental powers stolen from hundreds of thousands. They seek to destroy the shields around this place.
You know what the army is comprised of? Is it men or is it beings of steel and iron?
They are men clothed in the stolen veins of our rocks.
Armor, right, okay.
It is a great army from the north that has come to raise these lands. They ferret throughout these mountains and have for hundreds of years. But I believe that something led them here.
I look back at Thry and his bag of holding, and I go like, 3 guesses.
I didn't do it. If that's what you're suggesting.
I look at you like
This time.
I look at you like you're dumb, and I'm like, is your name Epoch?
Oh, did you say Epoch or?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh.
I looked at you and the bag of holding, and Caleb is just being a jerk.
Oh, okay. At the bag holding, I thought. No, okay. Yes, it would be likely with her. Question. Are you the only one of your people here? Are you, like, I'm asking if there are others like him.
There are few others like me. Not as many as there had been.
Right. I asked him, are you willing to help us fight?
I will stand in protection of this place. I will stand with you, for I am Gravestone. And I am brave.
Well,
Did your mom name you that, or?
I do not know my mother.
Now I'm thinking if this guy is like a pro wrestler.
Yeah, right.
This Sunday, Gravestone. Probably ask. We'll see if you and others you can find. I don't know if these tunnel leads under the army. Perhaps you could and others could go underneath the army and see if you can't tunnel under like the war machines or something and basically collapse the ground underneath them.
Wouldn't that harm the land?
How much time do you think they have?
I'm just throwing out ideas.
I will do.
I look at Renakis and I go, how much time do you think it'll take?
That's normally a preemptive setup move. That's a trap. That's not a sudden defense.
Maybe if you're a human or a half-elf.
You guys feel once again that just massively oppressive force, and it drives everybody to their knees except Thry, including Gravestone. You see, like, little bits of rock kind of come off of him, and like some sand pour off of his skin, and he has this just shriek that sounds like an avalanche, which is even louder than the roaring of the waters here. And, this is just an odd experience for Thry, seeing everybody go down except him. Though, Thry, you do feel a warmth around your ring.
I look at it. Does it look like it's damaged or?
It's glowing slightly and is feeling warm to the touch.
Can I do an Arcana check to see what's going on?
Sure.
Because I really hope this thing ain't going to break on me. 11.
I mean, you definitely get a sense that there is some external force that would be almost sort of what you would assume is like an attempt to break the enchantment on the ring.
All right. Can I try to counterspell that attempt?
You have no real idea like where it's coming from or why.
Fair enough. I mean, I can easily guess why, but...
And the pressure lets off once again.
I look back at Ruin and I say, like, your leader, the Ishi something or whatever, where are they?
She is not far from here. We must check the chamber first, and then we shall see Aishushilia to see what she believes we should do.
Well, time's running out.
You see Gravestone just sort of begin to dissipate into the stone of this bridge outcropping itself. And he looks back up at you guys and says, I and my kind will do what we can to protect this place. You must go. Hurry. The stones tell me a massive army is amassing for strike. Okay, and I'm going to take just a short break to go refresh my beverage.
Yeah, you sound like you need it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do a gravelly voice with my lungs like this, but good times.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab some ice and another drink. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm not feeling too hot either.
Yeah. I mean, do you think we got enough AOEs to deal with a army?
Nope.
No.
So that's
No, we do not.
so I got 3, 6, 8. I can burn 8 spell slots for fireballs.
No network flicked.
Yeah, that's great. What happens if you go down? You're literally our source of AOEs.
Yeah. If I have long rested, then I'll have 9 spells here, 9 or 8 spells of fireball in 1 spell per max spray.
We don't have time.
I know.
Can't believe they updated the sheets again. Thankfully, I don't think I'm missing anything.
They probably did for the Ragmava setting.
No. If you look at the gold pieces, it's
Yeah.
the water deep gold pieces.
Yeah.
That's how I figured out that they updated them.
Yeah, I at least had a message on there that it was, I'm using the ancient chat and video server or whatever. So it looks like they had that update, and then they had another update or at least it's a feature I hadn't noticed before, called the transmogrifier, I think it said. Which actually is kind of awesome because as it's sort of explaining it, it allows you to move content between games.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that had been one of the biggest pains of Roll20. So it looks now they've got a solution, perhaps.
Now, only the controlling partner wasn't an asshole. Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess we race forward to the chamber.
Yeah, so let me zoom out a little bit.
Oh man, I forgot I had this. The Insight of Eternity. Glimpsing into the infinite web of all choices and consequences throughout time, and Caleb gains a permanent +2 bonus to history checks. So I do potentially know the history of the Inspired.
What ability is that?
I think it was a story ability that you gave me for.
Yeah, it was.
It was
Yeah,
for
when
the Dream Rug to stop the day of mourning.
Nice.
which failed, sort
Nope.
of, maybe.
Nope.
I don't know.
It worked.
Yeah, the day of mourning did get stopped.
On one timeline.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna
Onward.
re-roll my stealth check because I'm pretty sure me falling to the ground yelling broke it.
So Ruan takes the lead and sort of dashes ahead on across this bridge.
I was running. I looked at Caleb. Can you put up a protective ward to protect us against any more of those psychic attacks?
Nope.
Ruan runs
Prince is
forward,
close to Ruan.
and you see that the pathway now goes down into some stairs through a very dark alcove. And without hesitation, you see him run into there. And It's not like frightening or anything. I'm just giving a description, and it's sort of like a slight cave that dips down. Although here on the map, I didn't block it out. You're definitely within a tunnel, so you can't say go this direction or the direction Caleb just ran.
Actually, I found this room before when I was running around blindly. So this is the room I thought they were talking about when they said the chamber.
Yep, nope, not that room. It's supposed to be a closed corridor, but dicing up the map and having layers and things like that, it just doesn't quite work out.
Do we know which way he went?
I wouldn't have
He
been
went straight ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I must have cut the room off there. So here and here, and there we go. So you see Ruan come into the room. There is another monk there that is sort of sitting on the ground with his hands outstretched towards what looks an awful lot like a very large column of a dragon shard, though you know it's not a dragon shard. It's just, I guess I should say it looks like a very large crystal vein. And he has his hands outstretched to it, and you see him sweating profusely, like his clothing is completely damp. His hands are outstretched. He's muttering something. And
I step up to it and I say, how do I help?
Well, when Ruan sees this, you see his eyes grow wide, and he says that there should be more in this chamber. There should be others here maintaining the power of the shielding. I wonder what must have happened.
Sound like a setup.
How do I help?
I'm not sure what we need to do. I need more. I need more of us who are trained.
I put my hand on the crystal and I try to will my mental strength into it.
All right, go ahead and do let's see. That would probably be like let's do a wisdom check.
Okay.
Ooh, thank you.
I wonder if I can.
You feel an odd sensation when you like mentally reach out to this stone. Almost like mentally you can see down this very, very long corridor towards a green glowing light. But as much as you try and like walk or run towards it, the distance seems to be getting slightly further.
Thank you.
Ruan, you can see he begins to make a series of gestures, and you hear him, "You must be silent. I need to clear my mind." And right after he utters that, you feel that oppressive force come down again. You see that this green crystal column begins to grow and pulse with light, and that's about all you can see through this like mental oppression. But then you hear that this other monk begins to mumble a little bit, and then he begins to cry out, and it turns into just an absolute guttural throat-tearing scream. And then poof, he like explodes in this puff of electric green energy.
Great, I've got monk dust on me now. Fantastic.
Ruan reaches out to the stone. I will do what I can, but you must go and see Aishushilia now. You must seek her wisdom on what we should do.
I kneel up in Renakis and I go like, go. And I stand there and I try again.
Where am I going? Directions, people.
Back in this light tunnel we came through, you will find a catch on the wall. Depress it with your full hand, and it will open the doorway to Aishushulia's sanctum.
So
On it.
You see his eyes begin to glow with a greenish light as he reaches out and touches the stone.
I follow Renakis.
As you turn to follow me, Renakis goes, "No, you stay here and watch them. If Caleb's
Right.
busy doing that, they're going to need somebody to watch them." I can
Alright.
hide.
I
Can you
cast
put me back in that room?
I cast enhanced ability on myself, and I try again.
Can you put me? Okay, there we go. Why they're doing?
Go ahead and give another check.
Why they're doing this?
22.
Also keeping. Oh, sorry.
All right. You kind of have that same mental image of a. Hey, could you guys like step outside, close the door? Apple, go play. That
Attack
same
of the
sort
Wee
of
Ones.
corridor, but this time, rather than you kind of almost like running in place down an ever-growing, lengthening corridor, it's like you get pulled and thrust directly forward and into this light. And suddenly, you have this sort of sight or vision beyond yourself. And it's almost like you're hovering or flying in the clouds, like when you've become a bird. And you are high above this mountain range. And way down below on the valley floor, you can see what looks like the valley almost covered in perhaps ants. But rather than a chaotic jumble like a stirred up ant nest would be, you see even from this distance that the ants are in perfect like columns and lines. And you guess there must be tens upon thousands of them. There are also some of them, there's some odd flying beasts coming through the air that you've never seen before. And you see what from this distance is almost like a building, but it's slowly moving. And you see this great green light begin to build up around that building. Yes, Alex, what do you want? I don't care. I don't care if he can have his candy or not. It is fine. He earned it. If he would like some, he can have some. But he has to have had lunch first. So if he hasn't eaten lunch, then the answer is no. If he has eaten lunch, then the answer is yes. Okay, yeah, macaroni and cheese, that's perfectly fine. So just make sure that JoJo's had lunch first, and if he has, then he can have his candy. All right, rock on. And you see some of those large Havalani atlases on the horizon. They begin to sort of glow from their tops as well. And then you see their lights just like wink out for a second. And the light that's in this large, weird shaped building pulses. And like this big green, almost glob looking, vaults forward and strikes against an invisible shell. And when it does that, you feel that mental oppression come down on you, and you feel yourself forced slightly away from that green light. And it, like just instinctually, like you dig your feet into this mental image of this corridor as you're trying to keep from being pushed away from the green light, which you succeed at.
I try to like just will myself to be part of that barrier.
All right. In Ren, you find the catch on the wall that opens up, and part of the wall slides aside. And you see these 6 polished columns leading to an ornate door.
I go to the door.
The door doesn't appear to be locked in any way, and at the slightest touch, it swings very easily on its hinges. And you see a large round room that disappears up and into the shadows. And these concentric rings around the circle of the room, each ring dropping perhaps 50 or so feet and downward into the depths. And across from you, you can see a rather large statue. To kind of give us a scale, it's perhaps the size of like the Statue of Liberty. But it's standing up partially from inside of that concentric ring. And it has one arm or hand that's outstretched and dips down to be almost level with where you're current standing. But it's dips out into the center of this circle. And sitting in the outstretched hand, it appears to be a spectral woman.
Hi, hate to bother you. Are you Aisha Sheila?
Rather than turning, it's sort of like the direction she was facing morphs to face your direction.
creepy.
Ah,
That's out of game.
welcome, Renakis. I am Shushilia.
Cool. You seem to be aware of what's going on around you then. Are you aware that we're about to be attacked and I was sent here to make sure that you're okay?
I am aware of much. I am aware that you are destined to be here at this very moment. I am aware that the Shalquar Monastery may fall this day, that its fate rests upon your shoulders and that of your friends.
Well, good. They're involved too, because if it was just me, you're screwed. I am amazingly self-aware, okay?
Yeah, if that was Caleb, he'd be like, "All right, I got this." Like,
Probably be sort of like, well, we can try, but
Okay, what can we do? I mean, it's like I don't even know how to tell if you're like completely okay or not. You're kind of spectral form.
You see her just like flicker for a second and vanish, and then she appears directly next to you.
Don't do that.
Renakis, you are destined to be here. The prophecies foretold your coming here.
Prophecies are incomplete and up to interpretation. Just because I'm here now doesn't answer the question of what we're supposed to, what you expect us to do.
You are here to learn and to save us and to escape.
I mean, I'm kind of hoping the last one happens.
And
She's gone.
and vanishes back over into the hand. And you can see her sort of looking up into the face of the statue. That was me a long time ago. Even my memory can fade over the decades and eons, the millennia. But I remember a progenitor speaking of you, of saying that you would be here, that you would have to make a decision as to whether Dalcair.
Sorry.
yeah, we just got Dalcair.
Yeah, I lost track of you at Dalcair. Could you?
whether or not Dalcair are.
Whether Dalcair are part of this equation or not. We must decide to embrace or to destroy.
Renakis just goes, "Oh God, I hate prophecy so much."
She vanishes and reappears just a few feet south of where you're at.
Thank you for not doing that right next to me.
And she reaches out towards you. Tell me, what do you know of Varak?
Me? I'm going to roll, I'm assuming, a history check. Noah?
Yeah, that sounds fine. Sorry, I wasn't, yeah.
15.
So you are aware that Varak was a dragon that had some sort of import to the druids of the Eldeen Reaches.
Dragon helped the druids. That's the extent.
Varak was a creature of great power and great compassion. Varak was a creature of immense love. A love that her and I had shared at one time. A love that broke my soul.
Okay.
Renakis, you have seen this before. You have been here before. You have done this before. You have lost your heart as well. I see within you the tears that come with the day of mourning.
Different timelines version of me.
That
You're
trauma, that tragedy, it is part of your soul, regardless of where or when you stand.
You're talking about the wife that I watched jump.
Yes. You have lost a part of yourself, as I have.
But you need to understand, me, this me, never had a wife. That version of me did, but to me, yes, I felt the connection to that person, but it wasn't the same as losing a part of myself. It wasn't my wife. It was another versions of me wife.
You see her blink out again, and you see just like the flashing light of her blink come from down within the pit itself. And you see her reach down and grab something from out of what, from this distance, appears to be like a treasure hoard. Just lots of gems and coins, and you see pieces of armor and other things. And then she vanishes and appears back beside you. And you see
Not right next to me.
Yeah, she's
Don't
like,
do it right next to me.
she is. She's just a foot or so away from you. And you see within her spectral hand, though, she's holding a like bejeweled sheath and dagger. And she sort of holds it out towards you.
I take it. I'm like, okay.
This is a dagger that is like our souls. It is one that is bound in many times, but in this time. She gestures over to like a trunk that's over on the side of the wall and says, "Throw this dagger at that trunk."
Okay, I make no guarantees it's going to hit, though, because I'm not good with throwing things. It's just a regular dagger?
Yeah, make an attack roll.
Well, because I have stats for a dagger on here. That's why.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You can use the dagger stats.
No. 24, okay.
All right, and roll 3 more times.
So triple advantage dagger.
2.
No, double advantage.
Quadruple.
3 out of 4 of those were over 20. Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
So
I forgot I had +9.
As soon as you release the dagger from your hand in your throw, you see the dagger just multiply. And it, like all 4 of the daggers fly through the air, and 3 of them strike the target, and another one misses just slightly. But right after they make contact, you see that the other ones just sort of vanish, and there's a single dagger remaining.
Huh.
And she says, "This dagger has been touched by a shard of time, and though it pulls from many realities, it is but one, much like you and I."
So the leader of the monks here is Renakis' dead fiance from a different time?
No.
That's not what happens.
No. Okay.
Does the dagger return to me, or is it like just kind of thunked into the chest?
You see it sticking from the chest.
I walk over and kind of look and go, okay. Thank you.
Though your wife was from a different time than you, you are still bound as one and the same, much like this dagger.
Okay.
That trauma that you witnessed, it is the kind of sacrifice that I made for Varrock that was necessary. A sacrifice much like one that must be decided upon this day. Back over to Caleb. You feel that oppressive force shutting down on your mind once again, shunting you away from that green light, pushing you against your will back down the hall.
Do you need me to make another check?
Yes, please. If you would like to.
And I still have advantage. 18.
So you do get pushed a distance down the hall this time, and the mental force and energy becomes quite painful as you're still like walking forward to resist the forces pushing you back. But you finally are able to sort of resist it, and you feel that oppressive force like back off away or just reside. And you're able to once again sort of touch on the light and see from above the mountains again. And you can see just this sort of residual glow from an invisible shield around this place. And you can still see the little ant-like army that's down below, just sort of moving in formation slowly.
I begin to shift. I'm not sure if that like I'm not in my physical body right now, but I do the mental choice to shift, and I start to look around to see if I can find Ruan, like a spiritual beacon that would be him as well, because we're both touching the crystal right now.
Yeah, as you glance around, you see him, much like in the physical world, you're positioned on the other side of this green light. He's sweating profusely, and you see the green sort of glow in his eyes, his teeth gritted, and his muscles are really like flexed and tensed. And he's muttering some sort of like mantra over and over again.
Can I? So I want to like move towards him, and can I make out the mantra he's speaking?
Yeah, you can, especially with your heightened perception, you definitely can hear what he's saying.
Is it in a language I understand or no?
You're not sure if he's speaking a different language or if he's just sort of repeating some like nonsensical syllables.
Right.
But you definitely know you can emulate what he's saying.
Yeah. So is there like in the vision of floating above the valley, is there like a green focus that he's touching as well, or is he just kind of floating there?
You do see him just sort of floating almost in a spirit-like form above with his hands outstretched, and you can see some of this energy that's just sort of emanating through him out among the shield, which is most sort of prominent, almost like when you stare at a light bulb and you move your eye and you see that afterglow.
Right.
You sort of see that same kind of afterglow of energy from his outstretched hands to the dome, invisible dome itself.
Right. I stretch my hands out towards the dome as well, and I try to will myself, my energy into the dome, and while doing that, also repeating the mantra.
Okay. So since you already have advantage, although it is uncommon in 5e, I will give you an additional +2 bonus on top of it.
Okay. To wisdom?
Yeah, to your wisdom checks.
Okay.
You definitely feel like a clarity in your mind as you repeat these
you could
this mantra over and over.
You could give him to add his proficiency bonus.
I actually kind of like that better. That's a good point, Brandon. So yeah, you can apply your proficiency to your wisdom checks.
So when I'm shifting, I double my proficiency with perception, insight, and animal handling. That doesn't apply here, right? It's just proficiency.
Let's see. Insight, is that intelligence check or wisdom?
Insight is wisdom.
Okay, then you can use your wisdom, yes.
So I'll use my shifting insight then. It's a 29.
All right. As you're really kind of keying in on focusing your energy and repeating this mantra, the world around you in your mental image becomes much crisper and focused and clear. Almost like it's becoming the reality as opposed to where you had been. Including like your sort of spectral image as you look down even at yourself becomes a little bit more solid. Though you definitely don't get the sense that like you're teleporting or anything. It's just sort of you're more present than you had been.
Yeah.
And you can see that this army below, or at least you're surmising, is tapping into the power of these large Atlas buildings to fuel whatever this war machine is. And towards the front, go ahead and give me another shifting perception check.
Ooh.
Yeah, you definitely, with your clarity of mind, you can see Epoch standing near the front side of this engine. And she's surrounded by what appear from this distance to be perhaps 3 Warforged. And you see that the soldiers themselves, the armies at her direction, are beginning to make slow way towards the mountains themselves. All right, back to Renakis.
I haven't had a go.
Oh,
yet.
okay. Brandon, go ahead.
First, I'm going to cast Minor Illusion of a stone wall in front of like the door, so they can't like, to make it harder for them to find a place. And then, so right now, I'm guessing this crystal is like sort of like a conduit to, like would I guess with backwards of, like to me, it seems like this crystal is like some sort of like powering some kind of like psychic shielding.
Well, you
And
didn't see anything I saw, so.
Huh?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Like my idea is basically using the ring of mind shielding, maybe MacGyver some way for it to like hook up to the crystal to help strengthen the shield.
That's a bad idea.
So either you as a player can elaborate, or you're welcome to make some kind of a check to assume that Thry can figure something out. It's either way.
Like what do you mean by elaborate more?
So I guess just I'm giving you 2 options. One, you can use a roll to have your character come up with some way to do this, or I'm giving you the freedom to narratively just sort of describe what it is you want to try and do.
Like I sort of imagine like Fry taking out like a bunch of like his like his journal, which he's put down like his thoughts and magical studies and whatnot, and begin to like go over like go over in paper to see if this is actually possible or this might work. And I'm sort of like thinking maybe if the crystal's like a power, like it powers the ceiling, then the ring could be used like a focus or something. I don't know.
I'll allow an attempt at anything. So it probably would be fair to tie this to like an Arcana check.
Yeah. And like I'm not going to try this out like on the crystal itself first. I'm going over on paper to see if it can actually work. All right. 20.
So you sense perhaps a contradiction that is inherent in the situation, in which you're believing that, at least from what you've picked up from Caleb and Caleb's interactions with Ruin that this does require some sort of mental linkage, and the shield puts a barrier, or the ring puts a barrier between there. But perhaps you theorize it might be possible that if you deactivate the ring to link with the stone and then reactivate it, there might be some effect generated.
Good effects, bad effect.
You're just not certain because you're unfamiliar with mental energies.
Right. All right. I'm just going. As of right now, I'm just going to keep an eye on the hallway to see if anyone comes in, and I'm going to continue like going over this over paper, see if I can't, figure out something a bit more concrete that might help.
Okay. Are there any other like actions or tasks you'd like to take?
I doubt haste would help them, and they'll just end up making them tired. No, not really.
Okay. And at one point, you do notice, very similar to before, that you don't see either of them drop to their knees, but you see them definitely like strain and groan as the crystal's light sort of flickers a little bit, and then grows brighter than it had ever before. And then you see, when you look at Caleb's face, although he's shifted, you see his face go from sort of just scrunched up with perhaps concentration to it eases up and becomes a little bit more relaxed. And not long after that, you see Laneth come running back into this area, and he's a little bit breathless, and he's looking around, and he stares at Ruan and Caleb, and then over to you, and he says, "They're Riedran army. I think they've identified where the monastery is."
How long do you think they can? How long do you think they can reach till they can reach the to the monastery?
I am unsure. Never before in our known history have the Riedrans found this place. And why is he touching the crystal? He motions to Caleb.
I'm guessing he's trying to help out with the shielding here.
I will lend a hand too. It will take everything we have to even keep them at bay.
I say to him, I got an idea that might help, but it's a bit of a long shot.
What?
And
he comes back over to you. What is your idea?
I basically explained to him the plan of the using the ring of mind shielding to help bolster the shielding.
I do not know if that will work. I've never heard of such an item.
And I haven't heard much about these mental energies, but perhaps if we pull our spell seeds together, we might be able to work something out.
Well, the situation, it grows desperate by the moment. I suppose the worst that could happen is insanity.
Yeah. Alright. Fair enough. So yeah, so I roll Arcana or something, Noah, or
well, first you'd need to roll a will check.
okay. Will.
And now, well, hold on. Before you roll that, so are you attempting to reach out and link with the stone?
I thought we were. Like I thought me and him were going to like work out some way to do the ring thing, but if I need to do this first.
Didn't you already do the ring thing? That's why my face eased up.
No,
No,
he was just sort of witnessing your sort of more linking with the stone.
Gotcha.
yeah, no, I was just doing it on paper first to see if it would not cause the whole thing to blow up.
So I guess the question would be: Are you intending to use the ring yourself and link with the stone? Or are you intending to loan the ring to Laneth to link with the stone?
Like
Or do you have something else completely in mind?
what I had in mind was basically using his knowledge of the mind energies and my knowledge of Arcana to basically figure out how to do this without, ruining everything. But if I need to actually, connect with the thing with the ring, I would do it myself. I wouldn't force it on him to do it.
So I would think that given his lack of knowledge of magic and your lack of knowledge of psionics, that attack in progress, that this is probably more of like a jump in the swimming pool kind of thing, as opposed to like a wading in slowly.
You know what? What the heck? I'll jump into the pool then.
All right.
It was at that moment Dry was poofed into dust.
and then I will be somehow come back to life again due to weird paradox things.
Maybe.
All right. So we'll check.
Yep.
All right. This will be a plus 2 roll. 13.
All right, so I'm just going to move kind of Thry up to here so that you've got...
the size of Caleb's pog.
Say what?
Caleb's pog has been shrunk.
There we go. Maybe it's cold in that cave.
Friend in the other room. I don't know why, but I feel like Thry just made a very bad idea. Just had a very bad idea.
Well, I mean, I'm the one who touched the thing without any kind of plan whatsoever. So
yeah, but that's on par for Caleb.
That's true.
That's right on brand.
Yeah.
So Thry, you've I guess you're dropping the shielded protection of the ring to reach out to the crystal. Or are you doing this while maintaining the shielding of the ring?
I mean, which would I have to do in order to establish, the whichever would work to get my, because I honestly don't know, I don't really know how how to do this really.
So I can't tell you the outcome until you make a choice.
I'm going to do it without the ring on first.
Okay. So you reach out to the stone, and this is a similar, although you have no idea, it's a similar experience to Caleb's, in which you see this tiny pinprick of a green light down an exceedingly long corridor, and you try and reach out to it, but the more that you try and approach it, the further away that you're pushed, until it just sort of blinks out, and you're standing back in the cave with your hand outstretched, and now you're quite sweaty. You see the other three in the room just sort of mumbling their mantra, and they're doing it in perfect synchronization with one another as their hands are outstretched to the stone. And we'll flash back down to Renakis.
So Ren looks at her and goes, so what you're saying is that you sacrificed yourself for Varric?
It grows more complex than that.
I understand that. I'm dumbing it down because we don't have a lot of time to go into a full explanation.
This place, this sanctuary here, it is linked to Delcar or Delcor. There is a passage between the realms down one of our corridors. It links our realm to Delcor.
Okay.
This place here, it also had been interlinked with another realm of sheer madness, a place known as Zoriat.
I'm familiar. This is not the first time I've encountered a place linked to both of those. This is...
Oh, go ahead.
No, this is Ren going, this is not the first time that this has been a place that is linked to both of those. Sorry, go on. Something just clicked in my head. Keep going.
From that realm, there came a being. One that was utterly perverse, utterly twisted, utterly bent on the domination.
Adelkir.
Yes.
Go.
His name was Ithandrix. He stepped through that portal and into our world. He met Varuk. They battled, and it was intense. I was mortally wounded at that time. Varuk escaped. Varuk, sorry. Escaped.
It's that Riedan accent.
Yeah.
But I am from a different realm myself. I am from Dalcor. It was here that the only way that I could save my love was to give my life to stop the other. But an unspeakable thing took place, an unspeakable act, and a daughter was born. A daughter who still walks these halls. A daughter between two existences that are not of this world.
Okay.
It is her whose life of innocence changed that creature. She brought sanity to the insane. She twisted his soul, and with her birth came his redemption. But she still bears a taint within her. Though she be innocent, you must slay her in order to get that which you need to go to the next leg of your journey.
Quick out of game questions. Ithandrix was the one that we met, was it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Hey, Delker.
Right, that's what I thought. Okay. I'm not 100% a fan of sacrificing the innocent, but I'm also not stupid. Where is she?
Wow.
Oh man, I love her not just sometimes.
She dwells in the corridors on the other side of the great underground river. She is there mourning over the loss of a friend.
Would this friend happen to have his heart punched out by a giant machine? And by giant, I mean, my size.
I believe this is how he was slain.
Yep, okay. Know the friend you're talking about. Okay. Can you narrow it down so I'm not hunting through the entire place? I don't think we have time for me to like be going all over the place for her.
Even now, she draws close to the stone bridge.
Cool. Thank you.
Know that your fates, the fates of your friends, you are intertwined with Zithandrix. Though you will not want to trust him, know that from her birth came his redemption.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping her death doesn't cause his damnation.
Epoch.
And I run out to try and find her.
Boom.
I still don't know Epoch's there, but like that's concern number 983 out of, like the 7,000 we have right now.
All right, so you head outward and I guess cut left.
Yep.
All
Using
right.
that rogue running abilities.
So as you kind of run, actually, I don't know. Have you? No, you have seen Murakal because she brought the stuff to.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you run out and onto the landing, you do see Murakal standing there over the great raging underground river, and she's just sort of staring out southward, which is what you assume to be a great waterfall, just based off of the rushing of the sound and the, it disappearing into the darkness.
She's also the only other female member that I've seen in this place, if I'm correct.
Yes, thus far.
All right. I call out to her and I go, so I need to talk to you.
She just sort of like turns her head to regard you, but she doesn't move her body. Yes?
I'm going to assume that you're the child of a Delcare in a quarry. Am I correct?
She gets like a quizzical look on her face, and then it smooths out once again. Shushilia shared that with you?
Yeah, we need to talk because I'm going to explain something to you because you have a right to know this. But I'm also not stupid and it has to be done or a lot more people than just what's going to happen are going to die. So your death is...
You weren't stupid.
Huh?
Thought you said you weren't stupid.
Yeah, opening a portal to the Xandrix doesn't sound like a good idea.
No, I mean,
Explain to her what's going on.
just kill her. Like, if you're gonna kill her, just kill her. Like,
I
Call it common courtesy.
well, what if she tries to stop you and you can't do it?
Plan B.
Plan B is hide and start dancing around her. Because I am a rogue and can hide and my mark of shadow allows me to hide to be observed. So yeah, if she can't see me, she can't stop me from killing her.
Right.
We need to stop Epoch, and the next leg of what we need to do involves you needing to die. And you have a right to know this, but you also have to know that if I don't kill you, literally everyone in existence is going to die.
She just sort of like steps back just slightly, not like to run, but like, you've just laid a pretty heavy piece of info at her feet.
I just put the weight of all of existence on her shoulders.
My destiny is one of tragedy and sacrifice anyway.
And it sucks. And I'm sorry for that.
What is it that I must do?
As sad as this is, you need to die.
And she places both of her hands like on the stone railing of this, slight sort of outcropping that supports the bridge. I am ashamed to say, but I don't know how.
That's what I'm here for.
She looks at you. You can do such a thing?
I can try, and I can try to make it as painless as possible so you don't suffer.
And if I resist, or if I do not want this fate, what then?
Then I'm going to have to fight you. Because, as bad as this sounds, your one life means nothing compared to the life of literally every man, woman, child, newborn child in all of existence. And I'm sorry for that. It's a heavy weight. And I know what's going through your head right now. You're trying to decide, maybe I should run. Maybe I can survive this. No. I can't let you survive it. And I'm sorry for that.
Then I embrace my fate, as it was foretold in the prophecies. Yet I have one request of you.
Yes.
Take my tears to my father.
I don't know how to find him, but I can make a promise that if we do find him again, I will do that. That is the best I can give you.
I have seen the prophecies, and your paths shall cross again. Do not destroy my father, but give him my tears. This you must promise me.
That is probably the least I can do.
So she kneels down on both knees and kind of squats down on the ground, and you see her shoulders begin to shake, and she places both of her hands over her face, and you see her body just sort of racked with sobbing. And after a few moments, she stops and she holds out her hands, and in the palm of her hands, you see what appear almost to be like small diamonds.
I take them and I put them in a pouch on my belt.
She stands back up and she's wiping away the sort of remaining streak of tear.
As she goes to stand, I go, "It's better that you not."
She kneels back down.
All right. I'm going to go behind her and take that dagger I was just given. I'm going to take the point of it and put it right at the base of her skull and push in.
All right, you feel just a moment's resistance, and then the dagger, as you slide it forward, you see this really just weird momentary effect where, again, the dagger becomes like 4 different daggers, and then all collapses back into a central dagger.
One of them cuts her throat, another one just stabs her repeatedly in the stomach. Like all the different ways you could have killed her.
And it coalesces into the single dagger now jutting from the back of her skull. And she bumps forward and onto the paving stones.
All right. I'm going to lay her down, pull the dagger from the back of her head, obviously. Lay her down.
We can't leave Renakis alone with anybody, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to drape my spare cloak over her, and then I'm going to go back to the others.
Again, with people killing people when the party's not around.
When you step over her body and back towards the area with the others, you do see a faint green light begin to glow from behind you, emanating from her body beneath your cloak.
I check it out.
When you lift the cloak up, you see coming from the, incision mark from the blade, the puncture wound, this green light begin to kind of coalesce and flow outward. And after just a few moments, sorry, I have to give this a second. Oh, there we go. Sorry. She stands again, but this time is a green spectral sort of entity. And she
Similar
looks
to
back
her
at you.
mother?
Say what?
Similar to her mother?
More to her mother?
Similar to
Oh.
her mother.
Similar. Yes. Yes. Very similar. And she looks at you and says, I thank you. You made a very difficult decision, I believe. But in slaying me, you have given this place a chance to hold against the Riedran armies for just a little while longer. Collect your friends now and flee, for you have what you need from this place. And she begins her spectral form to drift in the direction of where Thry and Caleb are.
All right, I'm going to head towards Thry and Caleb.
All right. All right, Thry, first we'll go to Caleb. Caleb, you see the Hanbalani Atlas across the valley begin to glow once again. That giant engine of war also begin to glow, first at its rear, and then the large pulse of light comes towards the barrier once again.
Is there any way I can like intuit a way to direct the shield into a single point, like to concentrate the shielding to where this thing is blasting, or is it like a beam that's shooting from this war engine?
It's like a giant ball, essentially, almost like a cannonball, but I mean it's massive. It would be like the size of a mountain.
But it's like impacting in like a specific area of the shield when the shield is normally a dome that covers like the entire region, right?
Yes.
So is there any way that I can intuit to like concentrate the rest of the shield down to this one point that it's being attacked at?
Yes.
Okay. What do I have to do that?
You're right now. You're sort of willing the energy, and because you were kind of testing your theory a little bit with your mental energy, and you just feel that natural shift in the shielding coming forward. This time, when that green ball of energy hits the shielding, you don't feel pushed backwards like you had been before. You actually feel quite a position of strength, and almost like something else is holding you in place.
Mm-hmm. Do I feel diminished at all?
Say what?
Do I feel diminished at all?
Not at this point. You actually feel quite confident now as a result.
Yeah.
Although I do have to pause for just a second to go take a bio break, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
To be fair with me killing her. Okay?
Yeah.
When Prowler did it, it was...
I know, I'm just joking.
It was selfish, yeah.
It was a selfish reason. And possibly didn't try to make sure she didn't suffer. I made the conscious effort.
And I'm pretty sure that you're not going to lie about it to us.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm flat out going to say, yeah, we got to go. I was just forced to kill somebody I didn't want to do. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Completely separate circumstances.
Yeah. I was just joking. Pulling a leg. Although, what I found interesting is like, it seemed like to me like when it comes to Epoch, like she's doing all this because like she believes that if she doesn't stop like the whole deviation from time is going to break, or at least that's what it seems like to me. And and that's like the whole like, you know, like
I personally think she's trying to break time.
Okay, so you see the after image of that green ball dissipating as the shield holds force. But again, with the clarity of your shifting perception, you can see that Epoch is now moving and gesturing sort of furiously. The three warforged like creatures that are near her then move suddenly down amongst the ranks of the other ants. And you see the columns divide in perfect precision. And a slight, another column that they must be wearing like purple uniforms steps forward in perfect unison, and they spread out in a slight arc near the front of the circle. And then you see a purplish light and glow begin to emanate from them, and it arcs outwards towards the dome itself. And you see this sort of like crackling spider web, almost like lightning, but it stays, begin to split out across the exterior of the shield. And you see the Hanbalani Atlas glowing once again.
I look over to Ruan. Does he seem aware of what's going on, or is he just completely like in meditation? Like,
you see him concentrating and kind of gritting his mentally projected teeth and whatnot, but he does seem to be cognizant.
I look at him, and then I look at the tower and the people, and then I say, stay on the tower. And then I focus my efforts down where those cracks are forming, and I'm trying to hold the cracks together to seal them so that they cannot force it open.
Okay. Yeah, now your mental projection, it sort of leaps suddenly, and you're more at like a ground's eye view, perhaps a few dozen yards away from the outer shell. And you can see quite clearly from this point that this definitely is a contingent of Riedran soldiers. And all of them are muttering in a very similar kind of fashion to Ruin. Though it's definitely a different kind of cantor, but they're just speaking in that repetition of a mantra. And you're reaching out with your mental will once again to try and hold them at bay. So go ahead and give me...
is this a situation where I could do something that's similar to like a spell I can do? Like, can I tap into this energy somehow and like use a spell slot that I normally would be able to use that I don't have available? Like, I don't know what I could do with this energy from this shroud.
What would you like to attempt to do?
So there's so I know Wall of Stone and like Wall of Force and stuff like that. I don't have any more spell slots, but I would like to like do what we did with the monk and like just put a dome over them, like just cause the earth to collapse over them, like to power my druidic magic with the shroud if it's possible.
Okay, so you begin to mentally form all of the requirements of your Wall of Stone spell. And as you do so, your this mental projection reaches out, and you actually sense the presence of the genocide beneath the exterior of the dome. They're actually like right on the border of the dome, and you get this really alien perception in your mind as your projection reaches out and touches their minds, and sort of like links together, and you're now feeling your energy being channeled as a conduit through your mental projection and down into them, as it channels the spell and sort of synergizes together.
Can I try to do something crazy with it?
You're welcome to.
Okay, so the Wall of Stone spell, if I remember correctly, it can form a dome instead of like a ring. So I would like the dome to spring up around that troop of Regent soldiers, and then I want it to sink into the ground. Not the bubble, just the wall itself, so that the dome, like the ground level on the inside, stays the same, and then have just the dome slowly crush those troops into paste.
Okay. So let's see. Does that spell require any kind of roll, or is it just automatic?
It's just automatic.
Okay, then a dome that's...
One second. I believe if I'm doing it the dome form, they do have it like a save to get out of it. I think maybe. Let me open it up.
So next level, I get my 8th level spells, which is neat.
I don't know what my next level is supposed to be. I have to look at the build again.
If the creature would be surrounded by all sides, that creature can make a dexterity saving throw. On a success, it uses its reaction to move up to its speed, so it's no longer enclosed by the wall. So yeah, they can try to run out of the wall as it's forming around them.
Nope. All right, so this massive outcropping of stones juts up from the earth, forming a dome over a very large contingent of these soldiers. It doesn't quite get all of them, but it gets what you can at least see with your perception to be the vast majority of them. And the dome forms up through the air. The other thing that you see with your perception is that the dome is also at least partially comprised or almost being ridden by some of the genocide, as they're sort of merged with your efforts to crush this army. The dome slowly slides downward into place, killing perhaps thousands of these soldiers. At which then you see, or hear rather, just a roar of fury from Epoch, who leaps down from the front of this engine and steps forward and begins to project energies towards the dome itself, which instantly it shakes you to your core. You perhaps had exerted more energies than you anticipated with this dome. Go ahead and give me another insight check.
Okay.
And it is with advantage, of course.
Yeah. Oof.
All right. You feel yourself just holding your ground against Epoch, this sort of epic battle back and forth as your will is exerting directly opposite of hers. And you definitely feel in Thry, you can see externally that Caleb begins again to sweat quite profusely. The shard in front of you, you see begin to develop some cracks as well, as the energy in this room is growing like brighter and brighter. You can see Laneth across from you begin to go down to a single knee as he's trying to resist the exertions of these pressures as well. Is there anything you'd like to try and do, Thry? Brandon?
He's muted.
Oh, sorry, muted. Yeah, I tried to connect with the crystal again.
Okay, go for it.
So I doubt it'll do anything because again, but 12 nothing.
Yeah, you reach out once again, but you're forced to just back down this corridor. And once that sort of resolves and your normal vision reappears, you see the cracks begin to spread quite rapidly from the core of the crystal outward. You see Caleb straining greatly. You also see that also Ruan is straining a lot. Laneth now is down on both knees, and his sweat begins to bead red. So you actually see him sweating blood under the exertion of this great pressure.
I wish I know more helpful buff spells. The best I can do is haste. I'll give it a shot. I'll cast haste on Caleb and the elder monk. And I'll twin it to save the spell slot.
Okay. So Caleb, now in your sort of mentally projected image, you see this struggle against Epoch, and you're in like an absolute deadlock with her. She's exerting more and more energy. You're exerting more mental focus. But then you see that the great engine glows once again as it prepares to fire yet another focused attack against the barrier. And you instantly know that you will not stand a chance against both the assaults of Epoch and the engine simultaneously. It's at that moment in your vision as the engine prepares to fire that you see the spectral form of Miracle appear next to you. Her form floats just mere feet from you, and you see a pleading sort of look on your face, on her face, as she turns to you and says, "Caleb, let go."
I don't think she knows who she's talking to.
Jesus Christ.
Wrong person.
So isn't Rulon still like projecting against the shield above?
Yeah, you see him far above. You see Laneth also far above. It's you sort of on the ground, feet or a few yards away from the dome. Epoch on the other side as well. And then Merkel is just a few feet from you. She reaches out her hand towards you. I plead, Caleb, let go. Allow me to sacrifice myself to hold this barrier in place. I will give all of myself, all of my soul to hold this dome in place so that you and the others may continue your journey forward. My fate is sealed. My soul is doomed. Give me this.
I'll make an insight check.
You really sense a desperation and sincerity from her.
I look at her and I say, the children of Eberron can choose their path. You've made your choice. And I retreat from the shroud.
So at the instant you make that decision, you see that great war engine release its assault, and that great globe of energy flies outward and towards the dome, and you're back in this room. You see standing before you, of course, is Thry, who's just sort of looking back and forth and looking through this book, trying to figure out what to do.
Unless I return addled, the first thing I do when I look around the room and I see Laneth and Rune still like touching the crystal is I tackle them away from it.
Okay. I'll allow that to happen. You just like leap out, and I assume it would be like pushing Laneth back away like this way, and then just leaping to the left and forcing Ruan out.
Yeah.
As you do so, when you look back, you see what looks like a spirit of Miracle kind of hovering out in front of this stone, and you see her essence begin to dissipate into the stone itself, sealing those cracks that have begun to form. And then you feel, not mentally, but like physically, just this great force, and even Thry feels it this time, just sort of pushing inward, but it's for a fraction of a second, and then it reverses outward as you hear like a thunderous boom from outside, but you don't get mentally assaulted this time. And you just hear Miracle one last time say, "This place is safe for now, but not for long. You must flee." And then her spectral form vanishes, and all of the cracks on this crystal are gone.
And I'm like, all right, well, she bought us some time.
At which point, Ren comes back into the room. We gotta go.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Anybody remember where the nearest tree was? Shit, I can't do that.
There were trees on the farm.
No, I don't have any more spell slots.
Oh yeah.
I think this is a wonderful place to segue. Because I think we're at our time, right? Yeah, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 6:06.